So, if I had no mind, how could I hear this? If you had no mind, how could you hear this? If you had no nature, if you had no true self. That which asks the question is your mind. Through endless kalpas without beginning, whatever you do, wherever you are, that's your real mind. That's your real Buddha. Very great teaching. Through endless kalpas. That means you don't get Buddha. You don't get Buddha nature. You don't get enlightenment. You don't get your true self. You already are Buddha. You already are complete. So, in the past, before you met Buddhism, some of you met Buddhism recently. I met Buddhism only 20 years ago. 21 years ago, even before I met Buddhism, already I have Buddha nature. Even before you met Buddhism. It's not dependent on Buddhism. So, through endless kalpas, a kalpa is a very, very, very long period of time. Through endless kalpas without beginning, whatever you do, even you do good things, even you do bad things, even if you save many people like Mother Teresa or Gandhi or the Dalai Lama, or if you do very, 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 very bad things, maybe like a Yonsei Harin, a mass murderer. So, through endless kalpas, without beginning, whatever you do, wherever you are, in heaven or in hell, whether you're happy or completely, completely depressed, wherever you are, whatever you do, that's your real mind. That's your real nature. That's your real Buddha. So, Buddha is not dependent on what kind of action you do. You don't get more Buddha nature. You don't become more like Buddha. It's impossible to become more like Buddha. You can't become less like Buddha. You do many, many bad things, many bad actions to your friends and family and country. You don't become less Buddha. This mind is the Buddha says the same thing. Beyond this mind, you'll never find another Buddha. Beyond this mind, outside this mind, you'll never find another Buddha. That's a very interesting teaching. To search for enlightenment or nirvana outside your mind. To search for enlightenment or nirvana, you can even change the word. Not just enlightenment or nirvana, that's Buddhist teaching. If you're Christian, you can say salvation, heaven, godliness. To search for heaven, to search for God outside your mind is a mistake. Beyond this mind, outside this mind, you'll never find another Buddha. Change the word if you like. Outside this mind, you'll never find another God. Never. It's not outside this mind. If you like the word God, you'll never find another God outside this mind. It's not possible. Actually, even Jesus taught that. The kingdom of heaven is within. Jesus taught that. The kingdom of heaven is inside. Therefore, how could you find another one outside? How could you go to another one outside? It's a mistake. It's a false teaching to believe that. That's why he could not live a long time, because he taught a radical truth. It's not something you go to outside heaven. Salvation, holiness, redemption, being saved. It doesn't happen outside your own mind. Never. Not one time. It happens right here. This is where heaven is. So I always quote the English poet John Milton, who wrote in Paradise Lost in 1666, the great epic poem Paradise Lost. Mind is its own place, and in itself can make a hell out of heaven, or a heaven out of hell. Mind makes that. Not any other person, not any other situation. Mind makes that. Mind makes a hell out of heaven. It makes a good place feel bad, or it can make a hell place feel like heaven. Only mind. No one else can do that for you. Only you. Not your idea when you touch your thinking. Okay? So, very interesting teaching. Beyond this mind, you'll never find another Buddha. To search for enlightenment or nirvana or salvation or heaven or anything beyond this mind, outside this mind, is impossible. It's not possible. You can't. No one has ever found it. The reality of your own self-nature, the reality of your own true self, the absence of cause and effect is what's meant by mind. Okay? So mind, true nature, just means the absence of cause and effect, not being affected by cause and effect. Before cause and effect appears. Your mind before thinking appears. That's your nature. Before thinking. Not any other place. Before thinking. After thinking, philosophy, theology, religion, society, politics, suffering. After thinking arises. After a single thought arises. But before thinking arises, that's your true nature. It's very simple. You might think you can find a Buddha or enlightenment somewhere beyond the mind, but such a place does not exist. You might think that you can find a Buddha or enlightenment somewhere beyond the mind, but such a place does not exist. Trying to find a Buddha or enlightenment, it's like trying to grab space. Trying to find a Buddha, I want to find Buddha. I want to find Kwanseum Bosal. I want to find God, maybe, some person. I want to find Jesus. I want to find Mary. Trying to find that, that's like trying to grab space. Trying to find a Buddha or enlightenment is like trying to grab space. Space has a name. Yeah, space. We say space. 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 It has a name, but no form. There's no form to this. It's not square. It's not a triangle. Space is not a circle. It has a name. We call it space, but it has no form. Same with Buddha. We call something Buddha. We call something true nature. 참나, 진아, 참사람, 참정신. We call it 오직 모를 뿐, don't know. We call it something. It has a name. We give it a name. It actually doesn't. We make a name for it. God. Yahweh. Jehovah. Allah. We call it something, but it has no form and no name. So, how can you say it's this, but not this? How can you say that real God is this, but not this? That's like saying space is just this. It's not this. This space is not this space. It's the same. Someone in New Jersey right now, or in New York, if they hold space, if they say space, and we in Korea hold space, it's the same. It has no form. It has no name. The minute you call it something and think about it, that's a mistake. So same thing with Buddha. Same thing with God or whatever you believe in. It's already a mistake to call it and attach to something. So trying to find a Buddha or enlightenment is like trying to grab space. Space has a name, space, but no form. It's not something you can pick up or put down. And you certainly can't grab it. You notice many people who have a strong spiritual impulse and are completely determined to find some sort of spiritual experience that's special will actually hurt themselves, will ruin themselves by trying to have some experience and hold it. People want to find Buddha outside their mind. They want to find some holiness, some God, some spirit outside, but there's no other place except the mind. That's this teaching. Beyond this mind, you'll never see a Buddha. The Buddha is a product of mind. Why look for a Buddha beyond this mind? So, many times we do praying. We want to see that. But it's already our nature. Already our nature. We have this song we sing in the temple. Uri modu pucho kachi. We're all the same as Buddha. So, next paragraph. Buddhas of the past and future only talk about this mind. Mind is Buddha, and Buddha is mind. Beyond the mind, there's no Buddha. And beyond Buddha, there's no mind. Outside of mind, there's no Buddha. And outside of Buddha, there's no mind. Buddha and mind are the same thing. They're both names for the same thing. Space, 공간. Yeah, in Korean, 공간. Maybe nowadays, space. Maybe, let's do it that way. English, space, and Korean, Sun Hangullo, space. Name is different. Buddha, mind. True nature, true self. Name is different, but the substance is the same. It's empty. It's like space. Buddhas of the past and future only talk about this mind. Mind is Buddha, and Buddha is mind. Beyond mind, there's no Buddha, and beyond Buddha, there's no mind. If you think there's a Buddha outside your mind, where is he? Where is he? If you think if you're Christian, maybe, let's say, if you think there's a God outside your mind, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? That's why Jesus taught it's already kingdom of heaven, that's where God lives, is within. It's very radical. Even today, very radical teaching. Very dangerous speech he gave. Extremely dangerous. Because it means you are already the same nature. You don't need anything. You don't even need religion, especially. You don't need anything. You already got it. Buddhas of the past and future only talk about this mind. Mind is Buddha, Buddha is mind. You can say, if you're Christian, mind is God, God is mind. Very easy. It's just words and speech. Do you like the word this way or this way? Do you like it this way or this way? It's the same. Beyond mind, there's no Buddha, and beyond Buddha, there's no mind. If you think there's a Buddha beyond mind, where is he? Where is he? There's no Buddha outside of mind, so why envision one? Why think of one outside the mind? You can't show your real mind as long as you fool yourself. You can't reveal your true nature as long as you fool yourself about religion. As long as you're enthralled by a lifeless form, you're not free. As long as you think that statue, as long as you think that is Buddha and I am not, as long as you think that that is holy and I am not, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. Bodhidharma says, as long as you're tricked by a lifeless form, as long as you're tricked by that, you're not free. If you don't believe me, fooling yourself won't help. It's not Buddha's fault It's not the Buddha's fault. People, though, are mistaken. They're unaware that their own mind is Buddha. People are mistaken. They don't know that their own mind is already Buddha. If they knew that, if they saw that, they wouldn't look outside. If they knew that, then they wouldn't look outside. Your nature and my nature, it's the same nature. You don't get any more from religion. You don't get any better. You already are complete. You don't get more complete. It's like space. Space doesn't lack anything. You can't add more space to space. Watch. I'll take some from here and add it there. You can't add space to space. It doesn't become more spacey. Same with our nature. It's already complete as it is. Good action, bad action. Space is already complete. Good person comes into this room or bad person comes into this room. Doesn't matter. Space is the same, never changing. Buddhas don't save Buddhas. I love this part of the teaching. Buddhas don't save Buddhas. Buddhas don't save Buddhas. It's very interesting. Many people in many religions want to save you. I want to save you. But you can't, a Buddha doesn't save another Buddha. This teaching, some people say, oh, thank you for this teaching. I once went to my teacher after he gave me some teaching. I said, oh, thank you for teaching me that. Thank you for teaching me about my nature. He said, yeah. And I said, I feel like a very rich, that I'm suddenly very wealthy with joy. That I discovered this thing. And he said, already you had it. Already you were. He said, you were like a poor man with $1 billion in the bank. You just didn't know how to use it yet. So that's a very interesting point. We think we are poor. Someone must save me. Someone must save me. But Buddhas don't save Buddhas. Buddhas don't save Buddhas. If you use your mind to look for a Buddha, you won't see the Buddha. Yeah, very famous line from the Diamond Sutra. Whoever pursues me, whoever looks for me in form, a Buddha form, or seeks me with their voice, Buddha, please help me. Buddha, please help me. A very famous line from the Diamond Sutra. Whoever looks for me as a certain form, Buddha. Whoever searches for me with their voice, Buddha. Or if you sometimes hear on the mountain here, Hallelujah. Well, what's the other way they say it? Juya. Go on, Juya. In Buddhism, or Christianity, or any religion, if you look for it outside, if you use your mind to call it, that's already a mistake. As long as you look for a Buddha somewhere else, outside here, you'll never see that your own mind is the Buddha. Your own mind is complete. Your own mind is already holy. Don't use a Buddha to worship a Buddha. You can put it this way. Don't use a God to worship a God. Why use your God nature to worship God nature? It's already God nature. It's already complete. And don't use mind to call for Buddha. Buddha, please come help me. Kwanseum Bosal, please help me with something. Kwanseum Bosal, I need your help. Manjushri Bosal, please Give me wisdom to make a decision. Buddha, please save me. Don't call a Buddha to do a Buddha's job in any religion. Buddhas don't recite sutras. Buddhas don't keep precepts. And Buddhas don't break precepts. Buddhas don't keep or break anything. Buddhas don't do good or evil. It's beautiful. Your nature is already Buddha. Don't call for Buddha to help you. Your nature is already Buddha. Buddhas don't call Buddhas. Yeah? Buddhas don't keep precepts. Buddhas don't break precepts. Buddhas don't keep or break anything. Buddhas don't do good or evil. A Buddha can't do good or evil. It's not possible. Space, empty space, doesn't do good things. Empty space doesn't do bad things. Empty space is just empty space. Your nature is just like that. Why want to add something to it? Why do you want to get something and bring it into? You can't. Your empty space already functions just as it is. So, very interesting point. To find a Buddha, you have to see your nature. To find a Buddha, you have to just see your nature. That's all. Not outside, not over here, not just at Tongdosa, or Heian-sa, or Hwage-sa, or Sudok-sa. That's not where you find a Buddha. Many people say, oh, it's very difficult to practice. I cannot come to the temple to practice. And I always say, right where you are, that is your temple. Right where you are, that is your temple. We think Buddha is in the temple. That's a mistake. This is temple. Find a Buddha, you just have to see your true nature. That's all. Look into your mind. That's what that means. To find a Buddha, look into your mind. Whoever sees his nature is a Buddha. That's all. If you don't see your nature, then even calling for Buddhas, copying sutras, making offerings, and keeping precepts are all useless. They're all useless. If you don't see your nature, all of those practices are useless. He just says, to find a Buddha, or to find Kwanseum Bosal, just see your true nature. Whoever sees his nature is a Buddha. If you don't see your nature, then calling for Buddhas, calling for Kwanseum Bosal, copying sutras, making offerings, and keeping precepts are all useless if you don't see your nature. So at the end of 3,000 bows, everyone has a taste, some taste of their nature. That's why it's very important practice. The great Hyon Gak Sunim used to require everyone who wanted to talk with him, to meet with him, to do 3,000 bows first. And when I was very first a young monk, before I did 3,000 bows, very, very, very young monk, I asked one of his students, why is that? Why did he require someone to do 3,000 bows before meeting? Why? Why make it difficult? And he said, very interesting, their nature. They want to hear some talk about it. But Hyon Gak Sunim realized if they just bow first bow, then this thinking becomes weaker. And their experience of their nature becomes stronger. Then don't need to ask. Already they can taste their true nature. Already they can hear their true nature. They just become one with their nature. Then asking, many people after 3,000 bows don't need to ask question anymore. Already some taste. So, If you don't see your nature, then calling out Buddhas, copying or reciting sutras, making offerings, and keeping precepts are all useless. Calling for Buddhas, reciting for Buddhas, results in good karma. Copying or toksong, repeating sutras, results in a good memory. Keeping precepts results in a good rebirth. Keep the precepts. If you keep the precepts, you get a good rebirth. And making offerings to the temple or to a sunim or to Buddhism results in future blessings. But no Buddha. Very interesting. If you do all these good actions, you get good things. You get good blessings, you get good merit, just like the emperor. You get some popularity, maybe some fame. You get something, but you don't get Buddha if you do these good things. So, do volunteer work, very good, helping people. Some social work, very good, help society. You get some good mind. Some good feeling too. But very interesting. Buddhism's not about that. It's not about getting those things. Bodhidharma already said, no merit. It's not about merit. It's about emptiness, attaining emptiness, which is clear like space. That's Buddha. So, if you don't understand by yourself, you'll have to find a teacher to get to the bottom of life and death. But unless your teacher sees his own nature, such a person is not a teacher. Even if he can recite the 12-fold canon, he can't escape the wheel of birth and death. He suffers in the three realms without hope of release. So, if you can't find this nature on your own, it's good to find a teacher. It's good to find a teacher. But your teacher must be someone who, some taste of their nature. Some taste of their nature. Not just someone who understands the sutras, not someone who has studied it maybe just academically, someone who's had some taste. It doesn't matter how many kölche they did, how many ango they did. It's not that. What temple? Oh, they practiced that. Sonwon. That's not important. Not how many kölches, not who their teacher is. That's not important. Did they taste their own nature? That's all that's important. But unless he sees his nature, such a person isn't a real teacher. Even if he can recite, recite the Palman Dejangyong, even though he can say the whole Palman Dejangyong from memory, good, Palman Dejangyong. Even if he can do that, doesn't matter. That even such a person can't escape the wheel of birth and death. He suffers in the three realms of past, present, and future, and more like form, formless, and realm of desire, without hope of release. Long ago, the monk Goodstar, a monk by the name of Goodstar, was able to recite the entire Palman Dejangyong, the entire canon. But he didn't escape the wheel of birth and death because he didn't see his nature. Even knowing the whole sutras, even knowing all of the Palman Dejangyong, if you don't have one taste of your nature, you can't escape birth and death. If this was the case with Goodstar, then people nowadays who recite a few sutras or sastras and think that that's the Dharma are fools. Unless you see your mind, reciting so much prose is useless. So, to find a Buddha, all you have to do is see your nature. That's all. Just see your nature. Many people have seen Paris. Many people have seen New York. Some people have seen Los Angeles. Many people have seen Titanic, Matrix, Kreml. Many people have seen their friends. But who has seen their nature? Who has seen their nature? The closest thing. To find a Buddha, all you have to do is see your nature. Your nature is the Buddha. And the Buddha is the person who's free. Free of plans, free of cares. If you don't see your nature and run around all day looking somewhere else, this temple, this sanim, this place, this lecture, that lecture, even if you run around all day looking somewhere else, you'll never find a Buddha. The truth is, there's nothing to find. Actually, the truth is, there's nothing to find. There's no Buddha to find. Yeah, the Buddha said in the Diamond Sutra, he said to Subhuti, when I got Anyuttara Samyak Sambodhi, when I got complete enlightenment, did I get something? Did I get something? And Subhuti said, no, teacher, you didn't get anything. And the Buddha said, correct. Correct. Because if I got something, then that's not true Anyuttara Samyak Sambodhi. So, looking for Buddha, attaining Buddha, that means attaining that everything is fundamentally empty. That's all. That's not something you attain. Just have that experience. Don't suffer life and death in vain. We suffer every day. We hurt. We struggle. We worry. We fear. We doubt. Don't go through that wastefully. Don't endure those things without doing something about them. If you have that experience, look inside. Who is afraid? Who is worried? Who is anxious? Who is doubting? What am I? If you don't do that, as your friends die, as your family members die, as you read in the paper about people dying, if you don't look inside, then it's all a waste. That's what he's saying. Life and death are important. Don't suffer them in vain. There's no advantage in fooling yourself. You don't get anything by fooling yourself. Don't kid yourself. Even if you have mountains of jewels and as many servants as there are grains of sand along the Ganges, you see them when your eyes are open. But how about when your eyes are shut? You should realize then that everything you see is like a dream or illusion. So everything you have, all the good things, all the nice things, all the cool things, they're good when you see them. They're pleasurable when you can feel them. But when your eyes shut, it doesn't do any good for you. It's worth nothing. The moment you die, it doesn't do anything for you. So why worry and get anxious about those things? If you don't find a teacher soon, you will live this life in vain. It's true. It's true you have Buddha nature. It is true. You're already complete. That's true. Everything he said before. It's true. You have Buddha nature. But without the help of a teacher, you'll never know it. Only one person in a million becomes enlightened without a teacher's help. Only one person in a million becomes enlightened without a teacher's help. Someone like Buddha, Hyon Gak Sunim. Teachers like that. The sixth patriarch, Hyon Gak Sunim. Only one person in a million realizes their nature without a teacher. If, though, by the conjunction of conditions, through karma, through cause and effect, someone understands what the Buddha meant, that person doesn't need a teacher. If you attain your nature, you don't need a teacher. It's very interesting. You can have a teacher or not have a teacher. But if you attain your nature, you don't need a teacher. Such a person has a natural awareness superior to anything that can be taught. But unless you're like that kind of person, study hard, practice hard, and by means of instruction, then you'll understand. People who don't understand and think they can do so without study are no different from those deluded souls who can't tell white from black. People who say, oh, I already have Buddha nature. I heard it in a lecture. I saw it on Buddhist television. I have Buddha nature. Buddhist television told me I have Buddha nature. If you don't practice, if you don't actually practice, if you just hear that, conceptually believe that, it can't help you. You must find that. But you must go there yourself. You must find that. Then you're free. But the good news is it's already there. That's the good news. You just have to do a little work. A little work. Then that's yours. One time after a retreat, we said this morning, we had a 3-day retreat here at Hwagesa International Zen Center, and I passed on some words that my teacher Seungsan Kunsunim said to me, said to all of us actually a couple years ago. We finished a retreat, and we were waiting for some Dharma talk of something about Buddha, some story or something, and he said, very interesting, I really like this, not really like it, it really grabbed me actually, it's not liking or not liking. He said, everyone finished 90-day retreat. That's your thing. 90 days, thinking coming, going, feeling coming, going, anything coming, going. That's not your thing. That's not your real thing. Anything you learned, anything someone told you, anything someone convinced you, anything you read, that's not your real thing. But 90 days practicing meditation, what am I? What am I? What am I? That clear mind, that's your true thing. That's yours. Buddha didn't give it to you. Patriarchs didn't give it to you. Buddhism didn't give it to you. Nobody. Your parents didn't give it to you. That's your true thing. How wonderful. That's your one thing. So, even hearing it on Buddhist television is not enough. You must little work, then find that thing you already have. That's your thing. So any teaching, any sutra, any Kunsunim talk, any Buddhism that's only pointing to that thing, it's like a sign that says Busan, 400 kilometers. That sign is pointing to Busan. But if you say, oh, Busan, 400 kilometers, I understand Busan. Busan's over there. I know Busan. That's a Pablo. Understanding Busan is 400 kilometers. Busan is nearby. Wonderful. I don't need to do anything. Busan is there. That's not the same as standing in Busan. Oh, Busan. Little noisy. But I can smell the ocean. Then that's true Busan. So, understanding, this is my true nature, and actually attaining that. Two different things. Okay? So, people who don't understand and think they can do so without study are no different from those deluded souls who can't tell white from black. Falsely proclaiming the Bodhidharma, such persons, in fact, curse the Buddha and subvert the Dharma. They preach as if they were bringing rain. But theirs is the preaching of devils, not of Buddhas. Be careful. Their teacher is the king of devils, and their disciples are the devil's minions. Deluded people who follow such instruction unwittingly sink deeper in the sea of birth and death. Be careful. Be careful. So, unless they see their nature, how can people, such teachers, call themselves Buddhas? They're liars who deceive others into entering the realm of demons. Unless they see their nature, their preaching of the 12-fold canon is nothing but the preaching of demons. Their allegiance is to Mara, not to the Buddha. Unable to distinguish white from black, how can they escape birth and death? So, Bodhidharma's entire teaching is very, very, very clear. It's not complicated. It's not intellectually difficult. It's not intellectually easy. It's not intellectual. It's just a pointing. It's a pointing finger, pointing to Buddha nature, just pointing. But many people hear this and think, okay, that's Buddhism. I understand. I'm already Buddha. You are Buddha. No problem. Then I can do any kind of action. No problem. Everything is empty. No problem. But that's not truly attaining it. So, attaining that your nature is already Buddha, that you are already complete, and actually experiencing that are two different things. So, we must do meditation. Now, Bodhidharma never encouraged people to study this and just understand it this way. Even you hear this and understand, that's not enough. This is only pointing you that you don't have to look outside yourself. You don't have to look far. You don't have to look intellectually. You don't have to look over many, 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 many years. Many people think that the practice of attaining your nature is many, 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 many years. Many, 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 many kölche. Many, 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 many retreats. Many, 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 many bows. Many, 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 many meditations. It's not that. Bodhidharma's pointing is very clear. It happens right now. It doesn't happen far away. It doesn't happen somewhere else. So Bodhidharma's teaching points to things like that. Okay, so you don't need to find it in a book. That's not true Buddha. You don't need to find it in another religion, another place. That's only searching fruitlessly, pointlessly. So everyone, most important is practicing. Even 10 minutes every day. Even 10 minutes. Even 10 minutes in the morning, just sitting. What am I? What am I? When you ask that question, your thinking is it can't go anywhere. When you ask that question, what am I? That's all being's true nature. But if you're thinking, you miss that. If you're thinking, even if you're thinking, oh, I don't know, what was that? What, do I believe? Oh, well, I don't know. Well, that's Buddhism. Buddhism is difficult. Then already you're a million miles away. But when you hear that, already you become one with that sound. When you hear that sound, when you hear that me sori, that's your nature. That's Buddha. So, thank you for listening, everybody. And we will meet in 2 more weeks to continue talks on Bodhidharma's Sutra. Thank you very much.